Good evening, greetings, good day, Twilight Strugglers. This is Action Round Zero with me, Anton, Skott. We're making up for the lost weekend where we played the World Cup and didn't have any games on. So we're going to have quite a few games in the next few weeks. The first game here is going to be between Henrik Pettersson and Bartosz Wróbel from the Champions League. Henrik, we haven't had on ARZ for a while, but he's playing in the Champions League now as the winner of the Nordic League, which I organize. And Bartosz, of course, we've had on quite a few times lately, but they both emailed me and said that this was a great game, so we're going to have it on. I'm joined today by Aidan. How are you doing, Aidan?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Very happy to be here.
Yep. So let's just jump right into this game. I've set it up so we can see both hands, but we're going to be playing it from Henrik's side, playing the USSR. This is the first of their two games in the group stage of Champions League. You play each player twice with one switch with each side. And this is a low ops hand from Henrik.
This is a very disappointing hand in that respect. But he does have control over the Middle East scoring. That's always nice to see with 5-year plan. And duck and cover can be handy to get out at high defcon. But aside from that, I'm not seeing much in the way of options. But what would your headline be?
Well, Bartosz is setting up Marshall, so Sokovs makes sense. Nazis also make sense, but here comes Sokovs, and it's being defected. Not the Marshall plan. So Henrik goes ahead and is going to coup with duck and cover. It seems that makes sense. It's your only big ops card. Going for Italy and rolling big.
I guess he's punishing for not headlining Marshall plan.
Yeah, the Marshall plan would have. I mean, maybe you still coup Italy, but it looks less appealing. Also costs one more VP from duck and cover if you do it at DEFCON 5 in Europe, of course. But you're controlling Middle East, and maybe Henrik is looking at this saying like, I don't have enough ops to take Middle East, so I'll just dump it with 5-year plan.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be my play. There's very little to do. The other option you might have had would be to headline Arab-Israeli war and try and knock the US out of Iran.
Yeah, that might be the more likely play, just from a statistics point of view, that you win that war and then win the duck and cover coup as well. But Bartosz is just going to spread out of Asia, not going for Marshall Plan to try to equalize Europe.
Yes, with Asia scoring in hand, it does look like the sensible play.
Yeah, but also scary. If Henrik takes, it's easy for Henrik to take a domination here. You don't know what he has. But now you're going to know what he has because he's going to play CIA.
Yeah, it must give him some relief to realize that Europe scoring is not on the cards, and so he won't feel any real pressure to event Marshall there, though I think we will see that by the end of the term.
Yeah, you're not in a hurry. A question I would have as Bartosz here is, do you play UN intervention with Warsaw Pact? Or do you just give it?
Generally speaking, I'm happy to give Warsaw Pact, but when you're down in battleground count in Europe, I'm a little more scared that they might use it to use the ops from it to take non-battlegrounds and secure domination in Europe. So I think actually UNing Warsaw Pact is a good play.
Yeah, it's also a question if you want to hold on to UN intervention going into turn 2 with blockade and destall unseen. But
yeah, that can give you hand management.
Yeah. Or just be awkward, or if you have blockade and destall yourself, and then UN just becomes a one-out play. I don't know. It's certainly something to consider. Everything else seems kind of, you score Asia now with domination, coup with Indie Reds, Marshall Plan is an event. So the decision you have left is how to spread with Warsaw Pact, if you do it with UN intervention or not.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see whether or not he gets greedy and uses Warsaw Pact to perhaps expand more into Asia and claim a greater domination, perhaps take India. But that would be greedy.
Yeah. Interesting. Henrik chooses to play South Korea here instead. He could have cooed.
Yeah, he could have counter-cooed Lebanon.
Yeah, or just cooed to lower DEFCON and get mill-ups that way. Because now Bartosz gets a chance to get some mill-ups. Rolls on Iraq and doesn't make it. And Henrik takes that Dom. I would suspect we see Asia being scored here, not the scoring Henrik wants to see. Yep.
No, definitely not the scoring he wants to see, but at least he's in a good position after he dumps Middle East to fight for Europe.
Goes in there. I think maybe
not
you could,
with Romanian abdication.
no, but maybe you could have. That was just scored. You could have maybe evented Romanian. Indy Reds was just played.
You want those battlegrounds, good Dom. We'll see if the US draws Europe and are able to dump it cheaply.
Yeah, and there goes Middle East.
So you ending Warsaw Pact, we imagine now.
Yeah, let's see what Bartosz does here. And it goes for Greece, makes sense. And we're not gonna
region.
Yeah, and we're not gonna UN that. So
is he going to at least try? Okay, so he's going to try and take one non-battleground with points from Warsaw Pact. He's not putting everything just into his into Germany and Poland.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes sense if yeah, you place those there. Neutralize Europe with Canada and Turkey. And
he has shown Europe scoring, so hopefully he can mitigate it. Well, hopefully for him.
Yeah, and another
more
week.
Low
yeah, D-stall, of course, lovely to see. Nasser, nice to see. And Bartosz has Purge and Containment. I think I would headline Containment there to have one of those two ops become a Fidel or Vietnam could be played into Blockade.
Yes, I mean, there's lots of red cards there that benefit from the Containment headline, so I'd do that. But no, go the Purge.
Gets purged, and Henrik, I don't think he minds getting this hand purged so much.
Not at all. With all of those one-ops and mostly events, I don't think it's going to cost him very much at all.
Question is, does that mean we event De Gaulle as a... that makes it a 4-op play, 5-op play even.
I mean, eventing is useful in getting access to Algeria, but once Europe gets scored, it's not so interesting.
Yeah, I guess we're cooing here first just to lower DEFCON and protect Africa.
Would you have perhaps planned to event De Gaulle and then China card to take France and go for Europe control?
No. No, I wouldn't do that. I think I would maybe hold on to De Gaulle, and maybe if I don't have, that was a big roll, by the way, with Olympic Games, getting Bartosz out of Panama so he can't go into Venezuela. But I might hold on to De Gaulle and event it late in the turn. Okay, and Bartosz is going to get rid of Europe here. He's just one influence away from domination, Henrik was, but... And Nasser goes... I would hold on to De Gaulle and maybe event it late in the turn to put pressure on Bartosz.
I think that's probably a good idea. I mean, the rest of your cards are largely going to be evented or they have mandated uses. I mean, NORAD has to go to space. The other advantage of that is De Gaulle, you don't really have the ops to take advantage of De Gaulle. You can't move straight into Algeria straight after.
Yeah. But I'm still surprised Bartosz played... Yeah, I'm still surprised Bartosz played Purge there instead of Containment. You got to think... I always think about Blockade and how it's so nice to put a 2-op Fidel into Blockade instead of a 3-op Comic-Con, you know? So
Comic Con usually feels like a pretty cheap event to give to your opponent.
yeah,
Henrik just sort of fills out, regains Dom, and also protects himself from Trim.
yeah. Maybe Bartosz is thinking that with Europe the way it is, Comic Con is actually a nice event for Henrik, because this is going to be a non-battleground count Europe. They might keep filling up East European countries, you know?
Yeah, the other question is whether or not Henrik thinks that after D-Style, he should really be spending his momentum moving, expanding into the new world and setting up for a strong mid-war.
Yeah. But would you event IP War here for 1 VP and Milops and a chance to
I'd
flip?
absolutely event it. The winning a war in Asia can change the entire dynamic of the region.
And there goes the goal into Libya. That was a smart push by Bartosz, knowing that.
Well, particularly knowing that he's under purge, makes it harder. It forces him to put big cards to protect that. Can't afford those kind of ops, unfortunately. So no event of De Gaulle, but that's also another thing that can mid-war.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we put blockade back into the discard as well, so it comes back in the mid-war. And there's Fidel goes to space, makes sense. We're gonna win that war. Okay, that is huge for Hector. Yeah, that's huge for Henrik.
Yes, now that has completely changed it. The US are now on the back foot on battlegrounds, so there is non-battlegrounds. They look great in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Okay. Early Vietnam. Henrik is not going to be able to use that. I guess you place that into, I guess, Syria or South Korea makes sense here. South Korea might be even more important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he needs to get that third battleground. Pakistan is also not super safe at the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if Bartosz jams it here at the end. If you look at the 3 ops from Comic Con, you can maybe put them into Belgium, or I would say jam Pakistan with them.
Yeah, Pakistan, without any overprotection, is vulnerable to a jam. It would be a great way to win the coup particularly with the USSR. A lot of sort of vulnerable states. Angola, for example, would be a great AR1 coup to steal.
Yeah, I don't think Henrik would be able to fix it. I don't think you can give up an Angola coup on turn 3 here if you're Henrik. So let's see what Bartosz does. But neutralizing Europe, of course, is also really important if you can do it. Oh, and he goes, I love it when good players do the thing that I kind of suggested. And Bartosz gets the war in his hand for turn 3. That's huge. Also gets decall, which is enormous. And Henrik
does face the blockade UN problem that you alluded to earlier.
Yeah, that's going to be awkward. But I think you still just event blockade, put De Gaulle into it, and play UN for one off.
Yeah, you want to get rid of blockade. It's just a problem that you don't want to ever see again. Sokkar's definitely a decent headline.
Yeah, excellent. You know, we also have Middle East, which feels the coup is going to go in Iran. So, and here comes the war. I'm a little bit surprised to see that. War come out here.
I think it's a good option to, if you do succeed in the war, then you don't have to bother with plating the influence, which you'll probably get.
Yeah, but the war is more powerful if Henrik plays into Pakistan here.
Oh, I think Sparrow's going to just take control of Pakistan and AR1.
Yeah. And the 2-op coup with Cambridge fails.
I don't normally like doing a 2-op coup. I always find that coups are a very important role, and it's useful to put power behind it. But I do agree that holding on to nuclear test ban and the high-op cards to expand your influence in the new world is a good idea.
Yeah. I'm also surprised that Henrik didn't take out of the UK with SOCGovs. With special relationship in hand.
It is only a 1-op, I suppose, 1 influence. But you can slip it past people. It's well, he's on 6, slower protected, so that was never an option.
Yeah. Well, unless you take 2 out of UK.
2 out of.
Yeah, I guess special is a known card anyway, but it's yeah. I guess that would be a pipe dream. Okay, Henrik gets Middle East off. That's big, but
be disappointed not to see Decol, so that's pretty much Southeast Asia out for him.
Yeah, and Asia out now too with Pakistan blue.
China card into Japan.
Yeah, we did see Japan being played, so there's a possibility to do that. Bartosz tries to get the double space off. That would have been big too. Okay, so this is how we're gonna try to get special relationship off.
Yeah, no, I like that play. It's good.
Yeah, because now I know that Henrik doesn't card track actually, but this is really awkward for Sparrov because. Okay, I guess this makes sense now. You just give de Gaulle. He knew that there was UN and blockade. No, blockade wasn't known either. That's right. But he knows, Bartosz knows about special relationship, so that's going to come now. But now you could break UK, actually. Why not break UK with special here?
That's not a bad idea. That's not,
I guess taking those is important before. Yeah, maybe that's just too greedy. Not even greedy. Maybe it's just ill-advised.
He has domination anyway. No, I think it was a good timing of that though, because it did catch Sparrov with very few ops in his hand.
Yeah, that goes there. That makes sense. And Sparrov has a monster hand. Look at that hand for Sparrov. And another low ops hand for Henrik.
I am very impressed to see that Henrik has such a strong position on the board, given the very poor ops that he's been handed.
Yeah. He did win that Pakistan war, and that was huge, but everything else is kind of... yeah, that makes sense. There are some good events here. You even got Romanian that you can play to fight for Europe country count. Indy Reds is really awkward here. Maybe you even self-trap.
I don't think that it's really. There's not the cards aren't that bad, surely, for a self-trap. Truman is gone, so Indy Reds is just a -1. It doesn't threaten to flip the country.
Yeah, but putting 3 into Czechoslovakia there is still annoying.
Was there a saltable card that he passed?
I would say Decall maybe was the only one of interest, but I think he wanted to make it VOA safe, South America here. I think he sees South America as like kind of the most important region here.
Yes, it'll be filling up Africa next, I suppose.
Yeah. Bartosz is going to get a huge Asia off here. Unless Henrik smells a rat and plays into Japan, but I don't see that happening. And Bartosz is going to throw some weight around, showing strength, saying, I have a 4-op, you don't. He doesn't know that, of course, but
K is also pretty cheap at this stage.
it's completely free. And he's under CMC, so he can't even if there was a country, you wouldn't be able to coup.
Very good point.
Yeah. Oh, there's Tunisia. I didn't see Tunisia, but
But pass he does.
yeah. Well, he can't coup Tunisia, but because of CMC. But there was without CMC, he could get Millops. But really no problems for Bartosz here.
I'm amazed that we haven't seen any play into Mexico at least yet.
Yeah.
I guess the fight for South Africa has been all consuming.
Yeah, I also think if Henrik had CA, he would have played it on AR1 there instead of filling up. If you're Bartosz, like, oh, he hasn't played Central America yet, there's no hurry with getting into Mexico, I think. That makes sense.
Now the crazy thing is, he did event Romania as you suggested.
Yeah, but what are you going to give up here? Independent Reds or NORAD?
Oh, I think it has to be Independent Reds at this stage just to accept a loss. But you've got that doesn't lose you. You're 7-5 at the moment. So
yeah, and I guess you can play the 2 and 2. Yeah, after it gets resolved, you could just play the 2 into Yugoslavia or something if you really feel like you need to hold on to Europe scoring. So, yeah, as you said, the board is surprisingly red right now. And if we can imagine a successful Angola or Mexico coup, like the board is really red. And yet the VP track, he doesn't have much to show for it. And that comes from, missing out on Millops here. And generally low upsets.
Up hands, timing on the scoring cards. We've seen Asia score twice in Europe when it did come, didn't fall in Henrik's way.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to give up NORAD. That's scary, but maybe he thinks there's Africa scorings coming up here. Or maybe he's just coolly assuming he's going to get Quagmire.
Does he want to hang on to Missile Envy so seriously? That is a brave sort of thing to do.
Yeah.
Event John Paul, does that seem reasonable to you?
Yeah. Yeah, Europe's going to be important. If this goes to final, Europe's going to be very important. So I think this makes perfect sense.
Okay, we can stop complaining about cards now. We see Brush 4 and ABM Treaty both fallen Henrik.
Yeah, and we have to... Do we have to play ABM here? Maybe we don't.
Maybe not. Africa scoring. Yeah, ABM is better mid-turn if you have options in Africa to coup.
Yeah, although...
oh my God, the hand. Look at the hand at Sparrov.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't mention the hand of Sparrow. This is really good too. ABM makes sense when NORAD is in effect because you don't want to set off NORAD twice. So ABM and headline makes sense there. And rolls big on Mexico.
Oh, wow.
The world is getting redder and redder. But Bartosz has a monster hand over on that side. And, what do we do now? Coup Angola, right?
Yeah. Angola coup, yeah, you've got Africa scoring.
Yeah. And just not enough. And NORAD's going to go off. And what do you do with NORAD here? See, now John Paul is really annoying.
And Warsaw Pact is out, so there's no saving grace for the Soviet.
Yeah.
Europe's unscored, and you've got a lot of ops in hand to push.
Okay, but he still goes for Angola, which makes sense if we're going to push for Africa right now. And Henrik goes for the China card. He is purged, so this is... Oh, this is... I
He's
get,
about to get dominated. It's going to be brush war. It's going to need to save him. Maybe a brush war of Angola, I suppose, to try
yeah,
and get your
yeah,
battleground hub back.
yeah. Although Bartosz might play into Botswana and South Africa here. Oh, giving up Muslim Rev. I guess that makes sense. You're going to space OPEC and hold on to Asknot, so you have to give up Muslim Rev. But you play those two back into Iran, right? And then one into South Africa and the last one. No,
Oh, do you?
not
Do you
South
play
Africa.
it?
Wow.
What?
Wow. So now you get a chance to get out of Africa. And one into Cuba is really interesting here. Oh, just drop it, man. Just drop it. Okay. All right. We got that off.
I mean, there aren't actually many other targets, so I suppose it was worth it, but it did feel risky.
Yeah, but if you fail it and then Sparrow moves into South Africa, then you're dominated all of a sudden. And now, are you really going to get this domination? I don't think you're going to get it. And it's actually, you don't want to take a non-battleground at Africa because that gives Sparrow a coup target. Sparrow can't get mill-ups right now.
That is true. That is
Yeah.
true.
I mean,
and he's holding arms race.
yeah. Sparrow gets that space off. I mean, imagine that brush war going on Thailand instead and succeeding. That's, I don't know. I don't think that had to go on Angola there. But yeah, so we get that off. That makes sense.
Sure, Thailand only has the one protector, so it would be a very decent target.
Yeah, I guess that's the more long-term play, but you see that scoring card in your hand and you're like, should get that. But going into Cuba,
He probably can't possibly believe how strong Sparrow's hand is going to be as well, right?
no, that's true. But it's just a bunch of one-ups plays again. And I want to reiterate what you said before. This is Henrik's position here with considering how low his ops have been this whole game is quite impressive. The D-stall, of course, made a huge difference in South America and having that control. But Sparrow has that Asknot in hand, and I see a future where he discards Lone Gunman and South America scoring.
Choosing not to event one small step.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. But I think he sees grain sales. He's thinking about grain sales, and
yes, he can't back it up with any. He doesn't have any 3-ops to then start trying to move into the space where you can discard your cards.
Yeah, exactly. It's scary going into that.
That's the gap you have to cross in the Soviet space race.
Yeah. But
I don't understand why he hasn't filled out in South Africa. What is going on here?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed this player, the scoring card there.
Yeah, the scoring card went. But I think it was Usuri into...
Would you actually Usuri? Would you have evented Usuri or left it in hand?
I like the pressure of it, but...
Sorry, not left in hand, but I mean
left in deck, yeah. I don't know. Tough choice, but this might give him the coup if it wasn't for Junta, which is coming instead.
This might actually give him the game with if he gets Central America control and South America control. Is that 20 victory points?
That is 20 victory points. You're right. He's going to get grain sailed here, but that doesn't matter. I think maybe Voice of America is going to save Sparrow here. We haven't talked about Sparrow's hand. Another monster for him. Not as many ops, but all the events that you want. But I guess, okay, so you play Junta into Cuba and you coup there, unless there's grain sales, of course. And then We Will Bury You takes Cuba. and then you score both
And that's
those. Yeah,
you score both those, you win the game. Sounds great. But
yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, the opponent has a say in it.
Opponent has some stuff in his hand too, but nothing that really. Yeah, just Voice of America. But to be honest, if you're Henrik here, and Containment was not the card you wanted him to take. Maybe you take the Koreas instead. I don't know. That's a gamble. If you want to go for that, you're saying like that only works if your opponent doesn't have any scores, and the whole thing becomes moot because he wins the he wins.
Yes, he couldn't really event containment. He really did need to go in there. That now Junta would be an attempt to retake that. Would you consider perhaps Colombia, placing the Junta influence on Colombia and realigning to Venezuela, or just placing the Venezuela?
This I think makes the most sense. If you get just one out and he doesn't, that would have been great. Setting up the double threat here makes sense, and then I would put 2 in North Korea. Yeah, and the Korean War is still around, I think, right? That never got evented, so
that's true. You don't necessarily have to defend that one.
Yeah.
Would you have not? Well, the other option would have been just drop all 4 into Cuba, go for Central America scoring, and then turn your attention to South America.
Yeah, but you don't have enough ops here, really. Like setting up the real lines and then getting real lines off in Venezuela. It's going to take too many turns, and you're going to give up, OAS and Sadat and Camp David and stuff. Like I don't think there's enough time for that.
Are you trying to tell me that Henrik has a low ops hand this game?
Yeah, we only have 6 ops left to play and 2 scorings. So I think setting up the double threat makes sense because you're going to get at least 1 scoring off. Except here comes VOA, I think, from Bartosz, and maybe he's just going to take these DOMs off the board. That is exactly what he's going to do.
Great counter, well played.
Yeah, smelling that those scorings, and now this is awkward for Henrik. We started this turn talking about him getting 20 VPs off of this hand, which he might very well have done if it wasn't for grain sales in a huge role. Shout out to grain sales being one of the strongest, or the strongest card in the game. But now we're looking at maybe 4 or 5 VPs total out of this.
He still has realign opportunities on Venezuela. There's no protection against that.
I don't think he has that though, because you don't have enough ops for it. You can't set up the double threat here, and if you just move into Colombia, it's just going to get cooed. I think I would place these 2 into Uruguay, or maybe even Peru. And there's Quagmire that you wanted to see. Sorry. Yeah, Uruguay makes more sense. To me.
No, it's you're not connection to Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to place into Colombia, get into a cool war, and realign Venezuela. So I think just take these 3 that you get from Uruguay.
Is there any way that you could get perhaps the DOM of Central America? Maybe play Sadat into Costa Rica and then Camp David into Guatemala and Nicaragua?
Yeah, I think I would rather just score Central and then play Sadat and put 1 into Egypt with Sadat. Get these scorings out of my hand and then turn to Middle East is, I think, how I would play this. But man, what a turn for Henrik. That was South America was looking so good for a moment there.
Yes, no, the game is going backwards and forwards here. The US is, I mean, the US is still pretty strong on the board with their Asia position.
Yeah.
Africa, there's still pretty well. Africa's very swinging, hard to say.
Yeah. There's Panama event, which is strong as well. Now you just score that, and then you score the other one. I mean, it's still 2 VPs. It's not nothing, but you got to get mill-ups here somehow too. Oh, this is just... Is that going to go Mexico? Yeah. Bartosz trying to roll the dice.
He does get those two VP. Those two VP, surely he'll take them now, right?
Yeah, you have to. What is he looking for in discard? I think he was looking for what... what was discarded with...
Yeah, ideally, I'd like to, that's right. I mean, the coup card is probably Camp David, right? I mean, ideally, you'd want to space that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so awkward. It's that damn grain sales. I guess now you can hold on to Sadat, maybe.
Oh, well, the damn grain sales, I think he has to play all of these cards, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Man, shows what I know about this game. Yeah, so you do place in there. But you're right, you have to coup with Camp David. Nope, he's gonna space it. Maybe he's hoping for a coup card of some kind. Okay, 2 VPs from Nixon. You don't see that often in the mid-war.
Yes, that's it. That is a little bit early. I don't know what. I mean, he's not under 20-point pressure. He doesn't need to drop the scoring for any particular reason, unless he's already thinking about war games.
Yeah, he might be thinking about war games. He might be tracking enough that he knows that there might not be a reshuffle, so he wants to keep war games out of the deck.
I mean, Southeast Asia, he's expecting 6 VPs out of Southeast Asia, so I mean, it's not really necessary. But 2 VP, 2 action points, it's not a bad card.
Yeah, but it's 6 from Southeast Asia, but 5 from Europe for Henrik as well. So, and getting early Brezhnev. That's interesting. Why is he giving an early Brezhnev here? Is he going to try to get 4 VPs from How I Learned?
Yes, I think he's going to do How I Learned.
What do you get from that, though, other than the 4 VPs? I guess 4 VPs is 4 VPs, but does that make anything in Europe awkward? Does it let... Yeah, there we go, 4 VPs. And we're going to get high DEFCON weird, and Bartosz gets Europe scoring, which is huge, and ABM redraw. And Henrik gets an awful hand, although he gets 5-year plan in Southeast Asia, so that's...
Yes, and he can also space grain sales, which is nice to see out.
So Bartosz is going to be able to discard Europe, and Henrik is going to get to discard Southeast Asia. Blockade comes back and is awkward, but that's going to go into Ask Not as well.
Yeah, with South African unrest, which is nice to see.
And both China cards have been evented, so now Sparrov has no way to get the China card back. And notably, he has influence in Cuba, which of course makes Ortega a problem in the late war. And we're going to get to the late war. And I don't think it's very likely that War Games is going to be a thing here.
You're going to have to help me out. I missed the play of Lone Gunman. When did that go through?
That is a good question. That must have been Tehran.
Discarded. Yeah, that was discarded to Tehran.
Yeah, you're right. That's absolutely what happened. We missed that. Sometimes you don't get to see all the cards there. Okay, so here goes ABM. Oh, with a huge Italy coup. That is...
Wow.
Wow, that is enormous again. I keep saying things that are enormous in this game, but that's so big. Because now you just score that Europe instead and get 5 VPs. Then he thinks he's going to get Southeast Asia, but he's not because of 5-year plan. But that is a 10 VP swing right there.
And Italy has suffered 2 coups, both of which have rolled 6. It's been good quality.
Oh man,
I normally
sorry. These are the moments I wish I had a camera on the player. What did that look like when Henrik saw that roll on Italy? That is absolutely enormous. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just about to say that often I like to use the ABM at high DEFCON 5 for rear lines in Europe. Sometimes you find there are some cute little rear lines which can actually be very potent.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But now, so I guess now Sparrow still has the problem of blockade. He doesn't have a 3-op to give to blockade other than Ask Not. So I think he's obligated here to actually play Ask Not for the event and get rid of blockade and South African unrest, right?
I mean, I'd also consider getting rid of Latin American death squads, sort of the neutral cards.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't hold on to Ask Not, is what I'm saying.
You can always give up West Germany, but yeah, I think I'd do the Ask Not option.
We haven't talked too much about Henrik's hand. He has to give up puppet governments. And there goes Europe. Man, what a turn of events here. Now, all of a sudden, this looks very good for the Americans. Henrik really only has South America, and maybe he can get a domination in Central. I guess Fidel is coming back too, but...
Fidel is a scary card for the US. Puppet governments, I guess, would you go into Guatemala here to try and outflank Mexico?
Yeah, I guess Guatemala and then fight for... Maybe even Peru would make sense, or fight for country count in Africa.
There are options for rear lines in Africa as well that are worth investing.
Yeah. And it has Che, but that's not a known card. So that's actually really nice. I didn't think of that. Of course, you give up puppet governments here, and Bartosz moves into Guatemala, and then you Che him out of there. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, he'll puppet governments coup him out of Guatemala, but yes, but now the Che card has been empowered.
Yeah, and now you could see Che going into Cameroon and Zimbabwe, and then you have really good real lines on Zaire. There goes that event. And blockade, South African unrest, nuke subs, Latin America. And Camp David, I'm a little bit surprised. That's a VP that could be important. But he got Asia and Junta back, and Salt, which is really nice as well. And Decall, which is a perfect space card. So that was the perfect JFK, one could say.
Very well done, JFK. Very well done.
Yep. Henrik setting up the real lines there. But Junta is the perfect counter to that. Right? You place 2 into Panama and then you coup Colombia.
Yes, that puts a lot of pressure. He has to restore Panama and can't just straight up counter coup. He has to get Asia out for scoring at some point as well.
Oh no, he went from Mexico instead. That makes sense. I guess there's no difference there between Mexico and Panama.
Yeah, aside from, I suppose, Mexico being worth one extra victory point for the US.
I guess there's a chance to, in the future, actually realign Panama if you fill Costa Rica. So, yeah, Mexico makes more sense. And the Colombia roll was huge, which also makes a big difference here. Shade does not automatically flip it.
Yes, unfortunately, he didn't get Asia out before shuttle, so it does mean that he's not going to be able to use shuttle for domination of the Middle East. It's just the one battleground in Asia.
That's true, but it's still one more VP. I'm still surprised that he didn't event Camp David there, because then you can also just move into Israel. But this is looking very blue now. VP track is crazy blue. And yeah, I think this might be a DEF CON situation. And
well, yeah, let's take a look at the board. I mean, the Americas are still in the Soviet hands, so there are definitely points there. Most of the blue areas have scored or won't score when Southeast Asia goes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think depending on if the American scoring comes out, it could get to an even VP situation.
Yeah.
I don't know how the Soviets are going to repair the situation in Asia, though. Brush War, Italy. It could go either way.
Yeah.
Still a lot to see.
Yeah. Oh, and Sparrow is looking at. Did you catch that? He got salt, and he was looking at maybe picking up East European unrest here.
Does he have Europe control options?
Absolutely, yeah. We're going into the late war, and if he has East European unrest in hand,
Solidarity is active.
Solidarity is active, and he's got NORAD, and yeah, this is scary for Henrik. But Lone Gunman and Ortega available, and you would assume that Sparrow's going to space decall here. I guess also if you event Salt, DEF CON's going to go up anyway.
Yeah, is he going to hold through that?
Interesting choice. Yeah, maybe you hold on to decall. Keep Ortega spaceable. Nope, spacing decall, and he fails, which I think he's maybe a little bit happy about.
You'd have to feel that decall would be hard to play.
Yeah.
Knowing your opponent has Southeast Asia scoring in.
Yeah.
So regaining Middle East domination. We have terrorists, potential coup of Egypt, and you might end up with Middle East control.
Holds on to Salt. I think that's smart from Sparrow. I mean, and that's a monster hand. Sorry, we're still on this turn, but that is a perfect hand for Sparrow. Chernobyl and EEU here. Oh, and Henrik
Salt for EU though.
Yeah, exactly. Salt for EU. But Henrik also has a really nice hand with Aldrich and terrorism. And if you get a successful coup on Zaire here, and you have Africa Dom all of a sudden,
looks like you could level the scoring, because I mean, war games obviously is a threat that you've got to think about.
Yeah, not with Aldrich Ames though. And you have headline peak.
So is Chernobyl? So you'd say Chernobyl would be the choice?
Oof, I don't know.
Or is that something you surprise them with later? I think once you salt for EU, they know it. So you need to Chernobyl before you salt.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, there it goes. But Henrik is going to play Aldrich, and he might just... No, he'll have to take Voice of America, of course, with Aldrich. Oh,
well, I mean, would salt be a better choice, though? It's hard to not get rid of Voice of America, but would salt be better? And you have terrorism.
Yeah. Oh, this is some tough choices.
But yes, you're right. Like he's done for. He's not going to. Well, I mean, salt is scary, but he's playing into Central America, so that's the one that he's locked out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Because he had to choose first, so he played Central America. I think that means Henrik has to coup Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So taking voice makes sense, and now you coup. Oh, was that a mistake? Oh no, of course not.
Well, it gets the domination in Africa, but you are facing the problem that the situation in South America, in Central America, could be quite hairy.
Yeah. No, I meant playing the 4-op there. But now Missile Envy. Of course, Sparrow would never ever play Missile Envy here. I was thinking about that being his biggest card.
Yes, because he Aldrich gave him a view of that hand.
Yeah. Interestingly, actually, Henrik has...
So how does he play? How does he play Quagmire and Fidel?
Okay, Bartosz coups back there. Sorry.
I mean, this is exactly the right thing to do when you're Chernobyl in one region.
Yeah.
You should be putting pressure into a different one and drawing their attention away.
Yeah, absolutely. You're wondering about Quag. I would hold on to Fidel, honestly. I would space Quagmire, and I would hold Fidel until next turn, because...
you get out of Ortega free card.
Gets you out of Ortega, and you don't want your opponent to... I mean, it's either that or hold on to Quagmire. Yeah, I would hold on to Fidel. Maybe even salt for something, but... Getting...
He didn't have to worry about war games, so he could time that card fairly safe.
Yeah. But if I'm Henrik, I'm holding on to terrorism here and hoping to win on DEF CON. Now that Central America has been flipped completely, it's tough for me to see a win for Henrik other than DEF CON.
I think that's a really interesting choice, flipping Central America, because it is one that it can get you some very big victory points for fairly small effort. Attacking Europe control is classically where people put Chernobyl, but I think other regions is very, can be interesting.
Yeah, Asia can also be quite powerful for that. Okay, here comes Salt for the event. Taking voice makes perfect sense. And we haven't talked about... Yeah, we haven't talked about IP War here, but do you think there's any way that we play?
Look, honestly, sometimes a 1 in 6 is still a good option.
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge roll, actually. Now it's a 1 in 3. Because I don't think... I have a hard time seeing Sparrow moving into Iran with that event in the future. Yeah. So now you definitely event that, right? Oh, that NORAD keeps on giving.
It is a great NORAD. A dangerous card, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Henrik gave that up. Was it turn 2? He gave up NORAD and he held on to something else. I don't remember now exactly, but Okay, Fidel goes to space.
Is this the moment that you terrorism to try and hit Voice of America?
No, I think terrorism has to be held for a potential potential DEFCON win. Although I guess with Quagmire, Sparrow's also safe from that.
I find voices so useful as the final AR of the game. I'd almost be tempted to hold on to it forever.
Yeah, but that would be self-quagging instead.
So we are in the situation now that he has lone gunman. If he can terrorism and drop the DEFCON, do you do something crazy here, or do you don't keep ducking cover?
The problem is he knows that Sparrow has Quagmire, so terrorism would have to hit Quagmire. Otherwise, you get out of lone gunman with Quagmire.
Very good point.
Yeah, and there's another purge. Henrik hates purge. Reform is nice here, but
so he has. I mean, Star Wars is one of the DEFCON cards he has to get rid of. Duck and cover can't be spaced under purge. Neither can tear down this wall. So
that's true.
You went to keep on.
You and one, but he has to play China card.
Yeah, he has to play China.
Or actually, he could play duck and cover now for VPs, but that puts.
And that would give the game to him on war games. Not that he knows that, but it does push it over the war game threshold, which Sparrow is holding.
Yeah. No, I guess you have to give China card. And ooh, another big roll for Henrik. But yeah, and he has to give up solidarity. Oh, this is a terrible hand. This is just everything you didn't want to have happen. And
yes, and Ortega's in your hand, not in his.
Yeah. And that does not hit Quagmire. So now okay. So now
mind you, going into Quagmire, knowing that you're going to fail rounds and crossing the turn in Quagmire is pretty rough.
Yeah, but Henrik also knows that he has to play the China card here. So I think
the Europe's just exploded. It's a wreck now.
Yeah. And I guess Henrik is going to try to get these arms race points off, which makes sense. But Sparrow's going to play kitchen debates. And yeah, I don't see... You know what's going to have to happen for Henrik here is he's going to have to get a huge roll on Mexico on turn 10. And...
yeah, that's going to have to be his coup.
Yeah, and Bartosz is going to have to be stuck maybe 1 or 2 action rounds in Quagmire. Or
only draw ones. Or only draw ones,
yeah. If you get the whole turn. But this is...
Well, yes, no, he hasn't had the ops to fight any of these wars for a little while. Arms race definitely the right play for the situation.
Yeah. I don't see... Yeah, Sparrow might play... No, I don't see him play war games there. But that was also a chance to take Italy with China card, since you have to play China card. But now it's going to be too late. And...
interesting push into Angola.
I think it's for realign protection. So after realign of Zaire, you can move back in.
Oh, absolutely. But it also does put you in a position, if you take Botswana, the Angola realigns can be quite effective.
That too, yeah. Although 5 that's a lot. Or 6, actually, even, to get out.
One good roll.
All right, and what do we even do as Henrik here with China card?
I mean, it would be quite weak just to try and play it into South Korea and take South Korea. That's nothing interesting.
Yeah,
Maybe pushing into Egypt might be an option. Forcing some sort of movement into Libya and making Muslim Rev a potential event.
yeah, okay, I like that.
He's lost his position in South America, which is disappointing, and he really has to consider what he's doing in Central America.
Yeah, maybe you just take France. Play China card into France. I mean, you don't take it, I guess, but
At this moment, actually, looking at the situation, I would probably back Mexico. You've got the extra round, you know you'll be able to put it in. And Central America is a really serious problem for us.
yeah. Okay. Well, this is, I
I'll
guess,
wait to see turn 10.
and there's Central America, and Henrik actually gets a really nice hand this time. Wow, brush war could be huge here. A brush war on Pakistan, for example, and sock govs will help in Europe. Oh,
I
but
mean,
it gets defected again. The game ends the way it started with sock govs defected. Okay, so how do you do this now? You know you get 2 action rounds in a row.
Yes, you can be choosy about. In fact, I'd play influence first, knowing that the coup is something I can take at my leisure. Or do you take the coup now, and if it's partially successful, fix it in your next action round?
Yeah. And what do you coup with? Is another. Yeah, I think. Oh man, this is tough.
I think South America is probably the coup. Brazil. I think a coup of Brazil would be what I'd be going for. I'd do that with "We Will Bury You," and then with maybe if I needed to fix it, OPEC or.
Okay, but we know we're scoring central.
Yeah, so perhaps you're right. Panama would be the better option.
Okay, and taking France makes a lot of sense too. I think you're just praying that he fails a couple of quagmire rolls here. Although we haven't talked, and he does fail one. Okay, okay,
I love the way you think.
okay, and he misses that one. Oof, where does this brush war go though? Okay, gets out with. This is close now, isn't it? Is this close now?
It feels close, but it's all moving so quickly I can't tell.
Yeah, I would stop and do a count here. Asia is 7, right? So that's a lot of EPs. And Sparrow's going to be able to play AWACS before Middle East, and he's got the China card, so he can't really do anything in Asia.
Europe is back in Soviet potential, I think.
Until that happened, we just don't have the ops now. Oh, that just stings. You have the brush war, you have the scoring.
Maybe this is brush war into Panama.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean it's scoring twice, or maybe Italy. Honestly, make Sparrow play all of this stuff into Poland and then brush war Italy instead. Does that make sense? Is that a 10 BP swing?
Italy would flip it. That is another big swing.
Yeah.
Because Central America, he's avoided the problem.
Ooh, and he rolls there. Yeah. Okay.
Goes for it. And he does it. It is the scoring card.
Yeah.
So actually, after he scores Middle East and Central America, he's going to be in the positive, right?
He's in the positive, but I think with Europe and Asia being blue, and I think Sparrow's going to be able to neutralize.
OPEC scoring, that's another 3 points.
Would you score with OPEC though?
If I had time to sit down and do it, I play async, so this is all moving way too fast.
Okay.
If I had time, I would sit down and actually count out what I needed to win and what I expected my opponent to get. I think you're right. I feel the board is blue enough now, and the US have the advantage of last card play.
Oh, wow. We're getting Middle East. Okay. So I guess that frees up Sparrow to do a reaction to whatever Henrik does here instead of trying to neutralize Middle East. So I think if I'm Henrik here, I think I play OPEC into Brazil. That's 4 VPs instead of the 3, and it
forces a response.
It forces a response, yeah.
So that absorbs 2 of the China card, which means that they can then break you in 1. So you'll get broken in one other country. So you'd probably be the end of your Middle East dom. Yes,
except he can't break. He doesn't have access to Iraq or Saudi Arabia, so he can't.
True, he'd have to Syria, which is meager, but
that's only 2. So I think.
So he is doing the count. He is doing the count. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay, there's just a 3. I think maybe this. Oh, I don't think OPEC was right here. I think this frees up too many ops for Sparrow. Okay, he did a count too, and he's just eventing this. Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, Henrik did in chat. He did concede in chat. I'll go by his count at this moment. But wow, that's been a really weird game so far.
Yeah, Italy flipped a couple of times. Asia's just been ignored for like half of the game. Southeast Asia was discarded. Yeah, and Central America went from completely blue to now being 2 red. So
it went from there was a potential at one stage. I was talking about the Soviets getting Central American control. It was almost all red.
Yeah. But I'm influence with AWACS. Wait, where did the last one go? South Korea. That makes no sense to me. Why wouldn't you just event that instead? Sorry, I need to go back. If you just event AWACS, that breaks Saudi Arabia, which is 1 more VP.
Absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
But I guess he counted it out and it didn't matter. So Bartosz takes this one. Really good game, a barn burner. This is one of those games that I know Henrik usually has a glass of rum after he plays Twilight Struggle. I'm sure he needed a drink after this one.
I'm going to have a glass of rum after casting.
Yeah. So what a fantastic game. Sorry, I'm going to go back to the screen here. I'll put it up for everyone to watch later. I think 1 more VP could have been squeezed out if you just event AWACS instead of breaking Syria here, but
that's right. Listen to your ARZ caster.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the MVP play for you in this game? I know what I'm thinking about was huge. Is the NORAD being evented when it was became a huge problem for Henrik all game.
It was inexplicable. I feel like he only gained an extra influence. I felt that at the time he had a 2-op card that he could have played instead. I don't remember understanding why NORAD had
yeah. It was at the end of turn 3, and he ended up playing NORAD and holding on to... turn 4. And ended up playing NORAD instead of Missile Envy.
Yes, and I'm just not sure what...
In this situation.
It really means.
And then, of course, terrorism not hitting Quagmire. If it hits Quagmire there, Henrik wins. But it was only...
That was a game moment, yeah. I was kind of curious, actually. I was thinking, as just from a game theory perspective, you kind of actually want to leave the terrorism play to the very end. You're best sort of like having the 50-50. Like if you are aiming at Quag and Lone Gunman, that's your ideal sort of targets for terrorism.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that at least would have given you a coin flip on getting that, unless he evented Quagmire earlier.
And he did know about Quagmire, right? Because Quagmire was seen from Aldrich Ames, I think. Am I remembering?
No, I don't think he did. No, I don't think that actually was. I think that was on the previous turn. I think he knew that Lone Gunman was a hold card from Aldrich Ames. Is that right?
No. This was the hand.
Oh, no.
This was the hand that was Aldrich.
No, you're right.
So he knew about Quagmire,
right.
but he didn't know about Lone Gunman. He didn't know about Lone Gunman at this point.
How did he not know about Lone Gunman?
Sparrow just drew it on turn 9. This was the hand where he... Yeah.
Sorry, you've lost me. We might want to fix this in post-production. This conversation.
It was just a very interesting game. It's worth going over the choices here. But you're right. I think that terrorism should have gone when Sparrow only had the 2 cards left. And either it takes Quagmire and you win, or it takes Lone Gunman and he's still Quagmired, right? He had to self-Quag at that point anyway. So...
Yes, and the point is that as the turn goes on, because he did event terrorism and it hit Olympic Games.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess... where was I going with this? Yeah, with your opponent holding on to Quagmire, you know that you're probably going to want to terrorism anyway. Like he's holding on to it so that he can get rid of Gunman with it. Anyway, great game. Thank you so much for joining me, Aidan. And thanks to both Henrik and Bartosz for sending in this game. Maybe we'll get the rematch, since in Champions League you play each player twice, and we can get that to you. But for now, this will be the first game this week, and then on Saturday we're going to have a second game. So any closing thought, Aidan?
Oh no, just that was a very difficult game to pick what was going to happen at any point. I feel very sorry for Henrik for his very low op throughout the entirety of the game. I'm very impressed with his play, that he turned those low ops into a fantastic board position. And I'm also amazed that fantastic board position fell apart the way that it did.
That was very succinct, and I agree with all that you said. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you in the next one.